Hi, Alex. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I absolutely am like blown away by what you did with the Skyscraper Live and everything. So you say in that special that you've been thinking about coming Taipei 101 for a long time. How long had this been on your mind? And do you keep track of skyscrapers you might want to climb? Or are you kind of always keeping that in mind?
No, well, so I had actually scouted Typo 101 in 2013 for a different TV project that fell apart. So since 2013, I kind of knew that it was possible, and I was interested, and I just knew that it was perfect, that it perfectly suited climbing. And so I'd say that when I walk around cities, I always look at buildings, and you're always kind of curious, and But the thing is, it's hard to know if a building really goes or not unless you get access to actually like rappel in and check it out and touch all the pieces. Because from ground level, if you look up at a skyscraper, you might think, oh, it seems possible, but you never really know if there are pieces that don't go or if like the spire at the top doesn't go, things like that. And so with Type 101, I knew that it was possible and I really wanted to do it, but I had to wait quite a long time to actually get the opportunity.
Wow, yeah. How do you train for something like this, especially with those little sections that are so unique to the building? Do you study this building in intense detail? Do you talk to architect? Yeah, how do you train and know how long it's going to be with you physically?
Yeah, so with Type 101 specifically, I climbed on the building on the outside with a rope a little bit. So I basically climbed the sections and got a sense of how it felt. And then I spent a couple months ahead of time, ahead of the actual solo, training in my garage, basically. I mean, the thing is, I always have rock climbing objectives, and so I was training for climbing, but then I was just sort of adding in an extra layer of what I thought would be useful for the building. And so the building was very squeezy, like you squeeze the two sides of the building together, so it's a lot of like full body compression, like core. So I was doing a lot of like extra, almost like CrossFit-y type workouts, like kind of whole body fitness, which is maybe a little bit more than you would do for rock climbing normally. Rock climbing normally you would be more focused on just like finger strength and your arms a little bit, but less so on your whole body. But yeah, but basically it's not that hard to train for. I just sort of practiced it a little bit, got a sense of what would be required, and then did several months of extra training.
Wow, it's not that hard to train for it. That's so funny that you say
Well,
that.
in the same way that like training for a marathon isn't like that
Sure.
crazy if you're willing to put in the miles and put in the time and you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say that the building uh was relatively simple to train for because it's just like, okay, well, I got to train my whole body to be as fit as possible. Like that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I kept thinking when you were doing those like weird, I forget what they call them, those weird sections. I'm just like,
The
how did you know?
dragons.
But yeah, your body probably just like was just comfortable climbing things at that point, I guess. But those were so interesting to me because I was like, oh my God, like how do you know? I guess. But I wanted
Well,
to ask,
I tried those
yeah,
several different ways. I mean, with the rope, I
yeah.
tried those. I'd actually, with the rope, I tried going out the belly of the beast, like out the underside of the dragon, which is possible and you can do it, but it seemed a little bit too extreme to do it on live TV without a rope. And
Oh
so,
my,
um, I mean, and that's kind of the thing that during the preparation process, I always kind of play around. You want to find all the ways that you can't do it as well as the ways that you can do it, so that you have a sense of, what you should do. And so
yeah,
I played with all kinds of things. Also, partially just if you get access to a building like that, it's almost your responsibility to be as playful as possible and like do all the fun things because it's just so hard to get that kind of access that, I've almost felt a responsibility to climb it every which way that I could just to see.
yeah.
And then for the actual broadcast, you obviously focus on the safest, most consistent way.
Yeah, I love that you had the commentators were in your ear. What was it like listening to them? And also you had music going, even though it cut out at points. Does that like fuel your climb or does that
So
distract you at all?
the commentators weren't in my ear most of the time. There were
Oh, okay.
I think only when we were having conversations that I think the control room or whoever, like I don't know. But honestly, even my music was like very intermittent because I mean it's
Yeah.
like a Bluetooth thing on the side of a steel building. Like it didn't work that well. And so the music cut in and out, the communications cut in and out. I mean, I couldn't really hear that much, but half the time I would just stand on the edge and I'd kind of hear things and just be like, cool guys, wave, and then keep climbing. Is yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to pull off a project like this, and there's especially the live component, there's so many moving
Yeah.
parts and there's just so much going on. It was I think hard to nail all the communications, I mean, just because like so the camera people who were filming, they were flip-flopping floors, so they would shoot from one position, and then as I climbed by, they would go into the elevator, they would go up two sections, and they would come back out for a different position. And so
Oh
part
my
of the reason that there was such good coverage of the building was that there was this very elaborate plan to move all the cameras the whole time. And so they're all on communications internally. I obviously wasn't privy to any of that.
yeah.
But basically, there are a lot of people moving nonstop to make the live event work as well as it did. And uh, yeah, I mean, there was a lot happening. I was just kind of like, I'll be blissfully unaware and just wave to the fans down below. It's like, whatever.
I like having those fans too, because that's probably not something you're used to having is all these people like, waving to you as you're doing this.
Yeah, yeah, that was challenging for me during the preparation process because basically I struggled with the feeling that people are just watching me all the time. Because normally when you do all your prep and practice, you're sort of in isolation, and so you can just experiment, take as much time as you want. But when you feel like you're being watched the whole time, it's hard to just settle into it and take your time. But honestly, by the end of the process, like when I actually did the climb, I'd sort of embraced the fact that that was all part of the experience, and it was just like, you know what, this is one aspect of the thing. Yeah. And actually, I don't know if, I mean, I suppose you noticed in the broadcast, but during the actual climb, I was kind of like waving to people and I was
Yeah.
taking my time a little more. I felt like I was going quite slowly. I kind of realized that instead of, instead of like wishing that it wasn't so, I might as well just enjoy the whole thing because the building actually feels easier the slower you go. And so I kind of knew that pacing wise, if I just, waved to people and said hi and like enjoyed the whole spectacle, that it also would actually make it feel physically easier because it would slow my pacing down a little bit, which in turn would make it feel even more fun for me. Because basically when you're not like super pumped and you're pretty relaxed, it just makes it all more fun. So anyway, I was just like, you know what? It's kind of part of my strategy. I'm just going to enjoy this whole thing. I'm going to wave to all the people. I'm going to have a good time, and that will make me feel better. It'll make everybody else feel better, and it'll be great.
It looked like you were having a good time. I'm like, I was like your wife watching it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like he's stopping to wave and having a good time. And um, what was it like having your wife there to because she said she usually doesn't like to watch these things.
Yeah, though I think she was probably less stressed about this than a lot of other like big rock climbs that I've
Yeah,
done, just because it's easy to train for. Yeah, I mean, she just knew that I was prepared and knew that it
yeah,
was within my capabilities. But no, it was great. I mean, the thing is, for the hour and a half of the climb, I'm sure it was very stressful for her. But we spent, I don't know. I think I was there for 8 days to get over jet lag and kind of prep ahead of time. I think she came after for maybe 5 days, just because we don't want to leave our kids unattended for
yeah.
too long. But it was our first trip together without kids, I think, since we had kids. And so we're like, this is awesome. We're staying in a nice hotel. We went on a nice bike tour along the bike path. I mean, Taipei is a really beautiful city and there's a lot to do. And so we got to enjoy, 5 beautiful days in the city, and all she had to do was endure an hour and a half of extreme stress, you know. So I don't know, it was a pretty nice little couple's vacation, really.
Yeah, I could recommend that to other couples. Yeah, climb a
I
building.
know.
You could have answered this already, but you knew where the cameras would be. Like, how involved were you in how they would capture you in the climb? Was that something that you kind of worked with, like the directors and producers with?
This guy Brett Lowell, if you know Brett, he was the guy hanging in space the whole time next to me. He was on the big rig, like the giant line that was just hauling him for like a
Yes.
thousand feet out of the building. So Brett was kind of the mastermind of a lot of the camera position things, and Brett and I have been friends since 2008 or something. I don't even know, like a very long time. And so uh, basically at every meal at the hotel, we would chit chat about ideas and positions, and we kind of made a plan as to which parts of the building exactly I'd be climbing to make sure that they could figure out the right angles to be able to see it. But he was really the point person with production, and then production. I mean, they really, I mean, they put a lot of effort into it because they had a plan, and then I think Brett or somebody saw it and was just like, no, this is a bad plan. And so then the riggers, I mean, the rigging team is literally the best riggers in the world. The people putting all the ropes on the building stuff, they're incredible. They're all friends from climbing expeditions and things. But basically like Brett saw one of the positions and was just like, oh, this is too much stuff, like too much rope sitting on this balcony. And he knew that the priority at that point would be the helicopter shots, like the big, wide,
Yeah.
aerial footage. And he was like, well, you don't want it to look all cluttered and crazy with a bunch of people and ropes in the aerial shots. They basically like re-rigged the whole top of the building. So, I mean, in the week ahead of time, they reworked the plan a bunch of times. And then I feel like it really came together because when I saw the footage afterward, I was like, wow, this is so striking. Like it's beautiful. I think they really captured the essence of the building well and just the striking position and how I mean, it's just it's so cool. Like it's so big
Yeah.
compared to the rest of Taipei.
Did you watch yourself do it then? Did you like watch the live broadcast afterwards to see
I
how
haven't watched the whole live
I watched
broadcast
the whole
because
thing?
we
Yeah.
tried to watch it at home with the kids, and then everybody cried and had to go to bed, and we were just like, whatever. We never finished. They didn't cry from the show. It was
Okay.
just like it's they're too
Just
young to
seeing
have
kids
intense.
cry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're just little kids. But yeah, so when we got home, I tried to watch it with some family who had watched it live, and they were all excited. And so we had dinner with them, and then it just like we never finished it. But I've seen a lot of the climbing footage because they sent me all the sort of highlights for photos and video and whatever. But I was like, wow, it looks even better than I remember in some ways. It's like some of the shots.
Gorgeous.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that looks insane.
It's so impressive. Did at any point in the ascent were you worried at all, or like kind of like maybe I can't do this, or maybe I should stop, or because you looked like you have such confidence, but I was wondering if there's any point where you're like, I don't know, maybe I should stop.
No, definitely no points where I thought I might stop. But I mean, so like leaving the ground, I was obviously nervous. Sort of,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I hope I don't slip on the first move in front of like thousands of people watching me. Because I mean, it is, I don't know, just the kind of thing where you're like, oh, I hope I
Right.
don't like totally botch this. It could be
Yeah.
so embarrassing. And then once I got going, I was like, okay, I feel good. It was quite windy, and as I got higher, I was definitely aware. I was like, if it got a little windier, it would have been not like. I wouldn't necessarily have to give up, but it was starting to get almost problematic where I was like, this is a pretty strong wind, like I'm noticing.
Yeah. I think
And
you
so
remarked that a few times too. You're like, it's really wicked.
yeah, well actually
Yeah.
it's funny, because you don't really think about this when you're walking around in cities, but it's not that dissimilar to climbing mountains where the higher you get, the more extreme the weather is.
Yeah.
And so with Taipei 101, in the week that we were prepping ahead of time, oftentimes at ground level you'd be like, oh, it's warm and beautiful and nice. And then by the time you get to the top, you're like, it's kind of extreme. It's like howling wind and you're in the clouds and it's a little more it has a little more of an edge to it. I mean, because it was winter and it's like
Yeah.
January at the top of a skyscraper. So anyway, it was and then just by sort of coincidence, the corner of the building that I was climbing happened to be the corner that the wind was coming through. So it was like ripping across that corner. So
Oh,
like, the other side of the building would have been sheltered that day, but just by, coincidence of nature, on the day that I was climbing, I was like, wow, I'm getting hammered by the wind, like right around this corner. And so anytime I was on the left side, it felt pretty calm. And then if I turned my body at all to the right side, I'd be like, oh my God, you're just getting so no, but no, but basically it was fine. I mean, those are all sort of things that you're used to or things that I'm used to from climbing walls around the world.
that's so interesting too. Did you pick like a certain side that you wanted to pick like ahead of time? Or you like, it's going to be this side or like,
Yeah, I'd kind of
yeah,
worked together with Brett to choose the different corners and things on the way up. Um, Mostly because it had to do with light and like what's scenic, what they could get good
yeah,
angles on, what they could see from the park down below where they were commentating. We kind of took a bunch of different factors into consideration. But then there were also a few things like so I was climbing the dragons, which I thought were amazing and were super fun. But then like on one of the levels, there happened to be a random piece missing, which made one of the not on the dragon, but on this little piece, like basically a piece of paneling had fallen off, but it made it easy to climb this certain way. And so I was kind of like, well, I'm climbing through there because there's like this extra handhold where this piece fell off. So you're like, cool. Just things like that where my path kind of wove around the building to capitalize on either cool climbing things, cool opportunities, like visual things. I don't know, up high, I climb over the security camera, which I thought was so fun. I don't know if that made it into the broadcast or if they used it or anything.
they
But
mentioned it. Yeah, I think they mentioned it. Yeah, I
But
think
actually,
it
one
did.
of the parts that I think would have been one of the hardest parts of the climb, there's this giant security camera thing bolted onto the wall. It looks super secure with these giant
Yeah.
bolts. And I was kind of like, well, because you can pull off this camera, it turns out it's actually pretty easy. But otherwise, it would have been one of the hardest parts. And I was like, this is so amazing. It's so cool that you get to climb over the security camera.
Did you have any rules for yourself, like no water break, no snack break, like anything
No,
like?
I think I had water and a
Yeah,
snack.
you
I
did.
think
Did you have a snack? I couldn't remember if you had a snack or not.
I'm not sure. They stashed like a banana for me, I think, in two different places, and I'm not sure if I ate it or not. I mean, it's only an hour and a half, so you don't really need to eat. And I had breakfast that morning, so it's pretty chill. But no, there definitely was food and water available if I needed it. I can't remember if I really,
I can't
once
remember.
you're
They might have like, yeah, they might have been something small, but I was like, oh, I wonder if he like, has no rule, like has a rule, like, no, I'm not doing this. Like that'll just slow me down or
No, no,
maybe,
I would say it's just like running a half marathon or running
yeah,
marathon or something where you're kind of like, yeah, you could do it without food or water, but you're probably better off if you eat or drink a little bit. But
yeah.
honestly, I mean, I think for me, the biggest thing was that once I was going and the helicopter was circling, I just felt a little bad taking a break because I'm kind of like, there's a helicopter circling, it's like TikTok. It's like they're just burning fuel to just like watching. And so that was actually something that I hadn't expected, but during the live event, because there are balconies every 8 floors, like the bamboo boxes. You finish a bamboo box and then you can stand there. But the balconies are kind of sunken in, they're like recessed. And so you can't really see them from the helicopter. You can't see them from the ground. You can't. And so I realized that anytime I stopped on a balcony, it was kind of like just a dead time in the program. And so it seemed kind of basically I was like, it'd be better if I didn't stop on balconies. And so instead, I tried to just climb continuously, but kind of pace myself. I was like, oh, it's better to just be slow on the wall itself than to go fast and then rest on the balconies. And so I tried to just climb consistently, but slowly. And I think overall that was better. Like it felt fun for me. It was great. Yeah, it all worked great. But I think had there been no live broadcast at all, like if it wasn't for a program, I think the natural way would maybe just be go faster up the bamboo boxes and then just sit on the balcony for 10 minutes. But obviously that's not really great for television.
So do you have another climb you're thinking about, another skyscraper you have your eye on, like, or any other live events you're thinking about doing?
Yeah, not so much that. I mean, basically, if I get the opportunity to climb a building, I will always say yes. It's really hard to get permission. It's really hard to get the
I'm
opportunity.
sure, yeah.
If you know, I mean, especially domestically, like for whatever reason, buildings in the U.S. seem a lot more shy about liability and things. And so, yeah, yeah, not surprising, but
Yeah.
uh, a lot of the buildings in Asia are just like, yeah, come and climb for sure. Like, if you fall, you die. Who cares? Like, it's no, I would say that if I was given the opportunity, I would certainly climb other skyscrapers. I mean, in the same way that when I'm a tourist in a new city, I always go to the sky decks and things. I always take the elevator. Like, I love the view, I love the position, I
Yeah.
love being in these buildings. And so, if somebody allows me to climb on the outside, then I definitely would at least check it out. So, we'll see if anything comes together, but I kind of hope it does because it's so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible. It was like, wow, it was great watching you do that and thrilling and, and fun too. This has been such a great conversation. Also, I loved your appearance in The Dark Wizard too. I've been
Mm.
watching that document. You're everywhere right now. So,
It's maybe too much. It's a lot.
well,
But
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.